Hello everyone, thank you for having me. I'm a PhD candidate in the Department of Visual Studies, and I'm going to be going through my dissertation work, giving form to feedback, craft and technology, circa 1968 to 1974. Craft and design are being radically reshaped by the rise of technology. Today, one can print a porcelain vase or use algorithms to create a series of jewelry with each piece demonstrating random variations on a basic design. Public intellectual life seems animated by the possibilities of such mass customization. The rise of user-friendly computer-aided design software paired with laser cutters and 3D printers has resulted in a vision where every home can be a factory, every maker a potential entrepreneur. And actually that's one of the things I did this year was take classes at maker spaces in 3D printing and laser cutting, and it's not as user-friendly as one might suppose, which is not particularly surprising. But epitomizing an optimism about this new tech is cultural and economic theorist Jeremy Rifkin, who is deeply optimistic about the social possibilities of what he calls the third industrial revolution. My dissertation historicizes the rise of such manufacturing within a larger tale of the handmade and the technologically produced. Craft theory and history, with its attention to the intricacies of production, issues of class and gender, and the history of labor under industrialization, can shed light on the social impact of these tools. My first case study examines how craftspeople integrated technology into their objects to visualize feedback systems within the body. Over 30 years before the Fitbit debuted on the consumer market, Marianne Shear patented the technology behind her heartbeat sensor bracelet, and you'll see that on the right. The left is another example of one of her jewelry she created during this period. This bracelet functions through a small sensor placed over the wearer's pulse. It has a small light which flashes in tandem with the pulse and emits a small alarm if the pulse rate exceeds a certain rate. With its elaborate metalwork and functional appeal, this bracelet communicates two beliefs: that jewelry ought to provide functional value beyond its traditional role as ornament, and that it ought to be sensual, to communicate that its wearer takes pleasure in bodily experiences. Both of these aims connect to popular views during the period, that the body was a system which could be manipulated to achieve a sense of physical and psychic wholeness. I found, and here's another piece that Marianne Shear created during 1973. She was inspired by protest over air quality, in which protest wore gas masks to demonstrate their dismay over the air quality during the time. And this is the piece that led to Shear's collaboration with the newly formed Environmental Protection Agency during the 1970s. I found that technology was oddly positioned in the worldview that her jewelry epitomized during this point in time. One that saw the surrounding environment as one in which technology has made the environment perilous. However, it is technology made small and personal that can offer safety. A major part of Shear's success was her ability to integrate themes of sensuality, functionality, and both the fear and faith of technology present at the time. My second chapter explores the evolving relationship between craftspeople and their tools through a case study of IBM computer scientist Janice Laurie, who in 1967 patented a computer-aided design system for creating woven fabrics in a process she referred to as textile graphics. Laurie utilized an IBM 2250 computer monitor that allowed for the manipulation of data through touching the screen with a light pen, similar to today's touchscreen devices, enabling users to rapidly visualize and explore a multiplicity of different designs and weaving patterns. Her story illustrates that the rebirth of artisanal production made possible by technology did not originate with 3D printers, despite how it might seem in the contemporary popular press. Instead, it can be traced back to the birth of computer-aided design in the early 1960s. Laurie made many claims in the press about the ways in which her software could add more customized products to the marketplace and allow the designer greater control over their finished product through iterative design. Taken as a whole, Laurie's story not only connects current discourses of digital fabrication to a larger history, it also nuances the associated optimism with concerns of gender and war. A product of her post-war technological corporate surrounds, Laurie skillfully leveraged her position and her femininity at IBM to gain acknowledgement for her invention. This right here is a recruiting brochure aimed to recruit women into IBM from 1957, which is the same year Laurie joined the corporation. It takes its cue from the then Broadway musical, My Fair Ladies. Similarly, Laurie was a public relations boon to IBM, as the computer company celebrated her work to emphasize the computer's value to a growingly skeptical public. This history highlights Laurie both as an important trailblazer in the development of computer-aided design and the ways in which imageries of people making with computers has been used to humanize this technology. My third chapter examines woodworker Wendell Castle, who produced both handmade stack laminated pieces in the 1960s, as well as more recent objects made with computer numerical control tools. I argue that the similarities in Castle's design represent a shared cultural relevance through a particular focus on the use of his furniture in the corporate office. The 1970s idea of the corporate individualist was built on the faith that computers would allow for more transparent knowledge, which would in turn allow employees to pursue more authentic approaches to work. Current advances in digital production have relocated this faith from management into manufacturing. Approaches previously limited to bespoke craft are now being used in serial production. In this way, the technology of Castle's work has caught up to the rhetoric underlying his earlier pieces, offering a case study on how the rhetoric and aesthetics of late 1960s craft prefigured and shaped current digital production. Ultimately, these case studies temper any view of technological determinism or its inverse, a pure technological neutrality, and instead ask what possibilities are bolstered and what are obstructed by the proliferation of digital tools and the arts and the humanities. And in closing, I want to thank everyone, especially the Newkirk Foundation. I was able to present this work at conferences both in the fall and winter of this year, and I have a paper coming out based on one chapter. Actually, now it's already come out, and I'm filing this spring, so I'm just incredibly grateful. Thank you.